was gold discovered here or found here in Skagway? Again, 50-50, no. Very good answer. Gold was not discovered here. But what it was, this town was used as a starting point for the trek and arduous journey up one of the two trails to get to a place called Lake Bennett, which we're going to be fairly close to when we stop later on. But kind of keep in your mind as you turn your watch back 122 years ago. The gold was discovered, and the reason why it's called the Klondike Gold Rush, it has nothing to do with the Klondike bar. On August 17th of 1896. What happened was fields were located outside of the town. The little spot was called Rabbit Creek. Looks something like this little creek right next to it. It's called Rabbit Creek. This isn't it. But it was located in the Klondike River Valley for nightly entertainment. But they got off nonetheless to start their journey up one or two trails from here to get to Lake Bennett. Lake Bennett's about 50 miles. Then they still have another 550 miles to get to Dawson City. We'll put that on hold for a minute. While we talk about to the right, that's engine number 1. It is actually a steam crosswalk. It was retired in the mid-90s and last used to clear the tracks after a heavy snowfall in 2011. So they took that thing and they used it about 8 years ago. To our right, some of you may have already been in there, the visitor center of the Klondike Gold Rush National Park. Now, if you haven't been in there yet, please feel free to stop in there. It is free, open to the public. We don't care who you are, where you came from. They've got displays. They've got a 20-minute video on all the Gold Rush history that will recap our information today. As you can see, we did pass by the Red Onion Saloon downstairs, brothel upstairs. That's where they make soup. Isn't it? A.B. Hall stands for Arctic Brotherhood. There are over 8,880 separate pieces of driftwood attached to the front of that building, making it the most photographed building in Alaska. Now you also notice the boardwalks here in town. The boardwalk denotes that the building beside it or behind it is historic in nature. All of these buildings are historical. They were moved in place either in the early 1900s after the gold rush or during World War II when the Army invaded Skagway, took over the railroad. On our right, Skagway Hardware and Sporting Goods Company. That's Skagway's answer to Walmart. And their motto is, if we don't have it, you don't need it. And I mean, they pretty much have everything. Office supplies, pots, pans, cleaning equipment, furniture, refrigerators, appliances. Oh yeah, and they got some nails and hammers and screwdrivers as well. They have pretty much everything. Now also look at some of these storefronts. They look like a 2-story building, but they're not. This is a perfect example right here. This one looks like a 3-story building, but it's not. The reason why the false fronts or facades were, the theory was that the taller or more elaborate the storefront, the better the business. Even though you would actually walk through that elaborate storefront into a tent. And it could have been a smithy tent, perhaps a brothel tent, saloon tent, or an outfitter's tent. Now, an outfitter is going to be the guy who's going to provide you with all of your necessary equipment and supplies to make the trip into Canada. Because here's a kicker, folks. The Canadian government required every man, woman, and child before you were allowed to go into Canada regarding the gold rush, or at all, to bring with you a ton of goods. That's 2,000 pounds of stuff. And the railroad that you're going to be on had not yet been built. The highway we're going to be on a little later on had not yet been built. So